Okay, so this is Dying Light, and I have it running. Here's a frame counter. It's running 60 frames. Right? And if we wanted to, we can actually pull up some more information. Let me go back up here. Keep going, keep going. We can get some more information. It lets you know if there's any frame dips, how much power usage, what's the temperature, and how much VRAM and RAM is being used with battery capacity, although I do have it plugged in right now. You can limit the frame rate. You can change you can change it so that it's like, you know, sharper image. So say for instance you lower the quality but you want it to look sharper, you can use software to sharpen the image, which is what it's doing right now. You can turn that off. Kind of hard to tell because we're only on the menu, but yeah. Okay, we're loaded in. What's the frame rate looking like? Yeah, it doesn't like when I do that. Basically, the touchscreen is treated like a mouse, and I haven't customized it so that it works that way. But I have it set up to where, what's it called? You can use a touchpad here to use as the mouse, the joystick. Yeah. You can also set up controls. So say for instance you wanted to change the control settings and make it so that what's it called? Touch here. Can't really see squat. We wanted to turn on gyro. We can turn that on. There's the mouse. Oh, hold on, not mouse. Joystick. Yeah, big old meaty fingers. Alright, so now if I hold the touchpad and move this whole system, or if I hold the stick, actually it knows when you're touching the stick, which is like, that's so interesting to me. Like it knows, so if I touch the stick and move the system, it knows when you're touching it. If I let go of it and move it around, nothing. If I touch it, it's quite interesting. It's also got some buttons on the back that you can use. So if I'm just gonna hold it here, you can see the character duck. You notice I'm not touching anything else. Pretty cool. You can set those buttons to be anything. Alright, so here is a rendered scene. We have like dynamic dynamic foliage. You know, we have some wind particles. We've got some, those are birds and vultures flying in the distance. All is set on screen. Models fully rendered. Still 60 frames. It's insane. I don't know how to explain this, but it's insane. But that's not all. I managed to get this to sit up. You can get emulators to work on here. This is the PS2 emulator that allows me to play PS2 games on the go. Like, that's insane. It's insane. Actual gameplay. And again, still, you can barely see it, but 60 frames, which is this is so cool. Alright, so here's me in the GameCube emulator, Dolphin. And, jeez, it kind of auto-adjusts for the video. And again, we're getting a solid 60. There we go.
and just I love this. I love this so much. Now this one's an older title, but still functions all the same. That's the wall. Stupid. Backstab. Yeah. Yeah. See here, I'm actually using one of the back buttons as a run button. So I'm not. I think it's also the dodge button too. So I can use one of these buttons on the back. It's this one actually that I have it set to, and I can hold it to now run and still be able to move the camera instead of using the B button to run and don't have access to the camera. Now, if you wanted to, you could also put it on the touchpad. You know, still be able to use the camera. You can actually press the button and have it set as the run button, so you'd still be able to use the camera. Like the customizability options are kind of endless. I haven't really experimented too much with the left side, but it's so cool. All right, let's talk UI. So the cool thing about the way that this is set up so far is that Steam has gone out of their way to try to go through as many games as they can to verify games that will work on this system. And they have like a setup. They have it like default on this great on deck situation. Basically, it will go through your library, and of the ones that they've curated, they figured out which ones work the best on here. And there's some surprising titles on here. We got Control, Dishonored, Devil May Cry 5, which was crazy because I could not run it on my PC, my previous PC, but I can run it on this thing, which is insane. Dying Light, you guys saw earlier. Hellblade, you know, these pretty graphically intense kind of games. Mad Max, Metal Gear, like it's surprising. Even the new Metro, Exodus. Let me see what else we got here. What's it called? Mortal Shell. There's a bunch of different like surprising titles on here, but you can actually break it down. So we can go through the whole library, and they'll have this like curation setting basically, where you can go through and change the filtering of your library. If you want verified games that'll only work, that they're known to work on the system, you know, ones that they're kind of sure about, but you might need to do some tweaking, some untested ones, and then ones that they've kind of just cleared off. But there is a workaround, and it's called Proton GE. I'm not necessarily proficient at it. Me and Linux are not exactly the best of friends, but I've gotten some surprising titles to work. So we have my installed games here, and one of the games that I installed on here and got to work was this one, Tales of Berseria. It clearly has a not ready for deck thing. So you can actually go to most of the games and then go all the way over to game info, and it says right here, Steam Deck compatibility unsupported. Click on details. It says Valve testing indicate this title is unsupported on Steam Deck. But you can then go to, I believe, let me see what's up here. Go to there, go to properties. I've already downloaded GE and installed it. You can force Steam Play compatibility with Tool, and then I already put it on here. Then let's start it up. Here we're gonna do it in real time. Shouldn't take too long. And look at that, with 60 frames. And then that's the language. And it just works. So I'm gonna skip past the intro actually, just so we can get into the gameplay. But you can see it does actually work. And then look, there it is. We got 45 frames, which isn't that bad. Oh, it does not like that. That's funny. The touchpad still acts, or the touch screen still acts as a mouse, but I don't know if you can configure that. I'm still twiddling with it or whatever. But in a situation like this, if say for instance you wanted more frames, you go back into your settings, maybe reduce the resolution, or you can pull up the menu over here and start tweaking some things. So say for instance I want it to go to 60, we'll do that for now, because I think we already got 60, and then boom, already at 60. And this is the game that's unsupported. You know, like that's insane.
Now this next thing I want to point out is its size, right? I feel like in hand, on video, you're not necessarily going to really get a grasp of how large this thing is. It has a 7-inch screen, but I feel like that doesn't really translate, right? Because that's 7-inch diagonally. So I brought in some controllers and the Switch itself to compare it to. This is the OEM first model Switch, covered in fingerprints. I got a grip on it, but I suppose we could take it off. Yeah, so we got grip or whatever, and then here's the Steam Deck, just to get like a side-by-side. All right, like it's kind of insane. It's a little bit larger. But if that's not a point of reference, say for instance you've never really held a Switch or something like that, or maybe it's not your speed, here is a OEM PS4 controller for comparison. Like, that's, there we go. Like, it's a little larger. It's definitely heavier. Here's a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. So you can get like a size reference of like where everything sits. And here's a OEM Xbox controller. Oh, well, this one's modified, but the size is still the same. So it's a little bit of a large, hefty boy. It's got kind of ergonomic shape. The back has a intake vent for a fan, and then the exhaust is right here. We have a Type-C port, which can be used for anything you can do Type-C with. A headphone jack, which is like a luxury now. And I overall really enjoy this so far. I've only had it for a couple days, and it's nice. It's really cool. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Don't sue me, TED Talk.